Okay, so I thought I would jump on this thread that Glen Kellaway had started. It's the listening habits thread. He did a video a few days ago and I watched it and I thought, yeah, I could probably do that. And I jotted down and gave it some thought. Saw some other people doing their videos. I hadn't watched a whole lot of the other responses, but I thought, yeah, let me jump on this. While I get everything set up tonight and the house is kind of quiet, I'm going to go ahead and answer these. It's basically just 10 questions about your listening habits to kind of learn a little more about the VC. And so, some of this stuff I may have already exposed a little bit. I did a room tour video a couple months ago, and so some of this is covered there, but let's just get to it. Basically, the first question is, how much time do you dedicate to listening to music? Now, this is where you actually sit down and listen to it. And I know I've made videos recently where I've actually taken the time at times to get off of my desk here, go over and sit beside the record player on the futon couch right there, close my eyes between the speakers, put on a record and play it, and just listen. Listen for the intricate instrumentation. Listen to all the things that are going on. And I admit, I don't do that very often. I've done it a couple times. Really, music tends to be, to a degree, background noise. I have music playing all the time. It's either going to be records or music on the computer because I've got all the CDs ripped there. And so I've got music going all the time while I work, while I do things. If it's something I can do, I'm on the computer working and it's something I can do while there's music playing and it doesn't distract me, then I'm always listening to music. And so when I listen to records, the same way. Sometimes I listen while I'm doing something in the room, cleaning up or something, and that may be considered background noise. But as far as sitting down, reading the lyrics and looking at that, yes, I admit I have not done that a whole lot. I've done it 2 or 3 times where I just I did it maybe 2 weeks ago. I just went over there, sat down and relaxed, put on an album and listened and paid attention, looked at the artwork, looked at all the nooks and crannies I could see in the record. I'd like to do that more, but I don't dedicate enough time of it. Just with work and family, it's hard to do. So, question 2, the preferred format. Now, I'm part of the VC. I show a lot of vinyl, but as you can see, maybe not from this shot, I have on both sides of me 1,000 CDs or more. In the other room, thousands of CDs. I like both. In some degree, CDs, have their strengths over vinyl, but the thing is, I have been into collecting vinyl now for a couple years. I enjoy that format. I think it sounds better on the stereo system, on the speakers. I probably will never own. I have way more CDs because I bought them for a lot longer. I tend to buy things now on vinyl and not CD, unless it's something that either is just too expensive on vinyl or something I don't really think I need to have in my vinyl collection. And I'm like, CD should be fine. Sometimes I might even go with the digital tracks if it's something that I don't think is going to be repeatedly listened to, but I want to have it, I want to listen to it, I want to have it in my collection. It's really tough. And some things get reissued on CD that maybe are not even on vinyl. And for that, I am talking about some of the stuff that I deal with that's like Christian rock and things along that line. There's a lot of that that's not on vinyl, but it gets remastered and put on CD. So you feel like you've got it. I mean, you can only buy it on CD. But for the most part, I tend to go vinyl first just because that's what mode I'm in now. I have been for a couple years. Vinyl first, and I rarely ever go to a store and buy CDs. I go to a record store and buy records. I will occasionally order, like the other day I ordered the Striper CD, but I already had the Striper record, so it's like, I have the vinyl and the CD. I buy CDs less now, but I have way more of them than I have vinyl. Maybe that one day the table will be turned on that, but for now, I like both, and I have both, so I listen to both because that's the only option I have. I do prefer, just because I'm back into vinyl, I do prefer the vinyl situation. Question number 3, how do we give attention to the whole collection? He said, are you listening to 20% of your collection 100% of the time? How do you rotate? How do you keep things from getting filed away and never listened to? Now, it is hard with CDs and having so many CDs. There's a lot like that. With the records, what I've been doing with the vinyl is I do make a conscious effort to just randomly go look at my collection and scan and say, yes, let's listen to that. So when I first get records, I put them right here. And you can see here, these are the records I just showed in my last video, the 4 most recent records. I'll put them up here. I'll give them a couple spins before I file them away. Now, I have everything CD and vinyl on Discogs. I can go back to Discogs and they sort them based on how the most recent thing I added, and I can see, oh look, I bought these albums recently, and then I can scroll down and say, wow, here's some albums that I bought 6 months ago, and it kind of reminds me, these are the order I bought them in, and it's been a while since I've listened to these. A lot of times it's just looking at the shelf. I'll grab this big flashlight I got because of the lighting in here, and I'll just shine it down, go down and look at the edges of the records, and something catch my eye, or I haven't listened to that in a while. So I try to listen to things more frequently and not just let them get stale. Now, I do also have all of my music is on a music program on my computer, and I have a lot of different playlists, a lot of different things sorted. I have a list called new releases, and it tends to be things that have come out in the past year or so that I want to keep making sure that I've given some time to listen to before I remove them from that list. I also have a playlist of things I've recently added to that. It's sort of the same, but not really, because I may add something that's not a new release, and it'll stay in that recently added list for 3 months before it falls away. So for 3 months, I'm always going to that list with the new releases, and I'm listening to things before they fall off and become filed away. So I do that to kind of keep multiple listens to newer things. And then I have all kinds of other playlists broken down for different styles, different moods, different years, different genres, and I'm able to go in and look at that. Sometimes I'll go in and just scan that and say, oh, I haven't listened to this one, click the thing and listen to it again while I'm working on the computer or whatever. I also have a whole list in that same program that's called Vinyl Owned, and it reminds me, if I've got I try to get the digital tracks of all the vinyl I own. I don't have them all, but I try. The ones I do have, I put them in that list. So sometimes I will go and open that list and look at the albums, and then I'll say, oh, I haven't listened to that in a while, and then I'll go to the shelf and pull it down. So I kind of use that as a randomizer of sorts. You can sort of do that on Discogs, but not as easy, because you hit randomize, it's going to look through every CD, everything I've got, DVDs, everything, and it doesn't just look at vinyl. You can't really do that. So anyway, I do a lot of things like that to try to make sure that I'm not listening to the same thing. I always go to a different shelf and try to find something that I haven't listened to in quite a while. Now, the next couple are dealing with my spouse. I have a wife, so yes, I have a spouse. So, do we listen together? No. Move on. Mainly because she loves music, but not as much as me. She's not as into it as much as me. When she comes into my room, which is my office here where the record player is, when she comes in here, she tends to want to either talk or watch something with me, and then the music is turned down or turned off. But we don't listen together. She's not as into physical products. She's not as into music to that degree. In the car, we listen together, and we listen to the same type of stuff. Her styles are different from mine, but we listen in the car together, but then again, it's more or less background noise too. When we go on long trips, one of us, whoever's driving, tends to control the playlist of what's being played, and so we listen together, but she's not into buying or dig in or anything like that. She just listens to whatever's on the radio. But she loves music, and we like a lot of the same styles, which is another question. Which is number 5, do we share the passion of music? And I just kind of already covered that. Not really. I'm the one, and she's fine, and she's patient with me, and she'll drop me off to let me go look at places. Like today, she took me to this place, and we went in and looked. But she doesn't look. She's not into flipping through records. She's not into buying CDs. She's not into any of that. A lot of times she'll hear a song on the radio and say, get me that CD. I'll get the CD. It turns out she only liked that song, and then I've wasted money to buy all the other songs, and the CD goes into the file. So she likes music, but nowhere near the same passion. So we're not on board with each other there. And then the next question, number 6, is do we share the same taste? I'll say this. 99% of what she likes, I like. 25% of what I like is the 99% of what she likes. I listen to such a different range of music. She probably doesn't know. I'm all the time mentioning bands that she's like, I've never heard of them. And it's not just new bands. I mean, it's older bands. Because when she grew up, we both grew up in the same time frame. We're the same age. She's an 80s kid. She listened to a lot of pop. She was into stuff like Hall & Oates. She loves Hall & Oates. Queen, Michael Jackson, Cars. So the poppier side, the adult-oriented rock type stuff, and the pop and the rock. Whereas I grew up with the hair and the makeup and all that metal, and she knew some of that. And back in the early days when we were dating and or first married, we went to concerts together. She went and saw, I mean, like again, I think it was just being supportive. It wasn't necessarily that she knew the music or had a love for the music, but she was there. We saw Iron Maiden and Wasp and Rat and Bon Jovi and things like that. It was just kind of the thing to do. We all went, she went, and there was a bunch of friends. And she knows some of that stuff. But nowadays, she's a radio listener. She listens to radio. She likes classic stuff, either the stuff from the 80s, classic rock from that. But no, she's her tastes. I like I say, I like everything she likes, but I like 75% more than what she does. So yeah, the tastes are kind of diverse. She doesn't like the heavier stuff. I've gotten heavier with age. She's gotten poppier with age. Put it that way. Number 7, dedicated music room. I did a room tour a couple videos ago. Maybe I'll throw in a clip of that here. I don't know. But yeah, I have, basically it's what we consider, it is what used to be the living room. This is one of those houses in the 70s where there's a living room and a den. And so this room was not really ever used. We may occasionally have had people over and we'd be in this room because it didn't have the TV. It was a prettier room. But ultimately, a couple years ago, we decided we need to do something with this room. It's wasted space. We don't entertain people enough. So we moved my office in here, brought all the records in here. I already had all my books in here. It kind of became my space. It's still the front room. It's still the living room. It's still the first room you see when you come into the house and you come through the door here if you came in here. So you can sort of kind of entertain people, but I've got a big desk here. And we got a chair and we got a TV now in this room, which we didn't used to have. So it is a dedicated room. It's my office. And it is a music room. It's where the record player is. You can hear it through most of the house when I play. So it's sort of dedicated there. Number 8, am I content with my system? Yes. I'm not going to be one of those audiophiles that has to go nuts. I have a typical $300 Audio-Technica, one of those AT120 LP, blah, blah, blah. I have a couple Bose speakers, which are more than adequate. I have a 100 amp power amp that controls a system that I cannot turn up beyond about 4 because it's just way too obnoxiously loud. So I think it's more than enough for what I'm going to do in this particular surrounding. I can't see, unless something breaks, I can't see the need to really buy anything else. I'm satisfied. I bought a better a better needle. I got a cartridge and everything. Went with the Ortophone Red, so I did upgrade that. Maybe go one day if I have the money to go with the blue or something, but as far as the rest of the equipment, for now, I'm satisfied. Number 9, low or loud. Now, I prefer loud to a degree. Loud can kind of get on my nerves. Depends on what I'm listening to, but for the most part, if it's something I really, really love, I like it loud. Now, or what I would consider low, people in the house around here consider loud. I remember still, and I might have made the comment, I forget, was it online or on one of my videos, where my 17-year-old daughter comes in and she says, "Why is your music so loud?" And I'm like, it's not. It's like on 3. And when my wife comes in the room, she's like, "Why is it so loud? I got to turn it down to talk to you." I'm like, "You really don't. I can hear you." And so I think what I consider low or regular volume, some people consider more loud because it's not just background noise. It does, you can kind of hear it, but it's not really that loud. And I walk around the house and you can only hear it so far down the hallway. It's not all the way to the back of the house. But when nobody else is here, I'll put on something I really want to hear and maybe double that and air guitar and bounce around the room like Tom Cruise. But I don't do it in my underwear because the front windows are there. But anyway, really, I can get into it then. I like it louder. I like to feel the power of the Bose speakers when they come out. So I would prefer it loud, but most of the time, I guess it would be considered more medium. People call it medium. I call it low. Number 10, what? Speak of the devil, here she is.
Hi.
Hey, honey, you want to come be on a video? We're talking about spouses and music.
Not particularly.
What? Okay, so let me get back to this. Number 10, show some music that both my spouse and I like. There are a few. We did in the 80s listen to a lot of the same stuff. I do have some of that on vinyl. I'm going to show 2. He only really wanted 1. These are both going to be bands that only a few of you know. Leviticus, Setting Fire to the Earth. They are a Christian metal band. Probably a favorite of both of ours, and it is something that we both share. I like all Leviticus, and everybody's kind of familiar with all of them, and she probably likes all of them too. This is her go-to album. This is still the one she listens to, even in the car occasionally to this day. Literally, when I first moved in this room and everything, one day she calls me when I was at work and said, "Teach me how to use a record player," because she had a record player as a kid, but this one, you know, seemed fancier. She didn't want to mess up anything. And show me where the Leviticus album is, because she knew that I bought this. And I guided her over the phone how to do it, and she cranked this up and cleaned the house to this. Another one that she really likes that I do have is Messiah Prophets, Master of the Metal. Again, these are bands that in the 80s, when we were listening to Christian music and Christian metal, these were 2 of our favorites. And so when it comes to the heavier stuff, these would be 2 that she probably would ask for. She'd say, put on some Messiah Prophet, put on some Leviticus. She digs Striper and stuff like that, but I would think that if she had to come in here and choose to play something on her own, it would probably be one of these 2. So yeah, that's about it. We have, like I say, everything she likes I like, but not everything I like she likes. But I have a lot of stuff that she likes. I don't buy a lot of the stuff that we listen to on the radio that tends to be on the poppy side, so there wouldn't be a lot of vinyl, but we have a lot of CDs that we share intense love for on the poppier side of things. It's just I have not purchased a lot of those on vinyl. So that's all. Probably longer than I needed to be. Anyway, Glenn, this is for the thread. Hopefully everybody checks out his channel, and let's jump on this thread and have some fun. I will talk to you later. Rock on.